G'day and welcome back to Rusty Inspirations. Today we are going to be changing out the height adjusters on the Bonnar Model 45. Now I've recently changed out this reel in this mower for a freshly ground one. In the process I managed to break this bolt on the height adjuster. All the ones I had were in the same sort of condition, and this here ugly thing, not entirely sure what's going on there, but that's no good. So I ordered some new ones from Moparts Oz, and they were here literally the next day. So I need to get them fitted up ASAP because I have pinched this out of me mate Hayden's mower, which is also waiting for his freshly ground reel to go back into it. So that's today's job. Change them out, and while we're there, we'll point out a few differences and one fairly important one. So upon first looking at this, you would imagine that you'd literally just undo everything, undo this, and slide this out, slide the new one in, bolt it all up, and away you go. Unfortunately, there's two things that sort of stop you from doing that. The first one is that on this particular mower anyway, this end disc fouls this from sliding out. A bit hard to see. So you have to remove the reel anyhow. The second thing is that a lot of the times this piece is actually corroded into this bearing housing. I know these aren't because they've recently been apart. However, if that is the case, you're going to want to get that into a vise and secure it so you don't break it. Get plenty of inox or WD-40, CRC, whatever you're using on there, and slowly but surely work that loose. Otherwise you're going to be up for a new bearing carrier as well. We'll see how we go. Get this side cover out the way. Bit on the loose side, isn't it? Might as well pull this out the way while we're here. Right, next up we're going to need a 3/4 socket to crack this nut off, and we're going to want to lock this up. We've got the reel locked up, got our 3/4 inch socket. Half-inch socket. We're going to crack this off, crack this one off. Half-inch spanner. That's our adjustment for that. How tight's this going to be? Right, now if you're lucky you might get this off without a puller. As I said, this was only off recently, so I don't think I'm going to have too much trouble with it. Famous last words. Make sure you locate the woodruff key. Poke that out the way. Right, now we've got all that pulled apart. Next we're going to undo these bearing carriers. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Now we've got them out, we should be able to remove this reel. Next we're going to crack off these locking nuts on each side. Now this particular model requires a flat head and a 7/16 spanner. They definitely vary between models and the aftermarket world, so keep that in mind. Also, this particular model is a left-handed thread and they also vary, so make sure you know what you're dealing with there before you continue. So here I'm going to hold the screwdriver firm, and with the 7/16 I'm going to crack that off. Do the same over here. Now there's definitely a couple of different ways we can go about this next part. Now I'm just going to assume that these are rusted in, as probably a lot of people's are. So we are going to loosen both these nuts and bolts off and just slide this whole piece out. 5/8 spanner on the back. So now we've got everything pulled apart, loosen these off. Remembering that these are a left-handed thread on this particular one. Now mine aren't seized, which is a bonus. They have been in the past, but goes back on Hayden's mower. Now, as I said, a lot of the time these are seized in place, both ends actually. Now if that is the case, you're going to want to get a lot of CRC, WD-40 or inox or something like that on there. Let it soak away even for a day or so, depending how bad it is. You're going to want to get this in a vise as close to the area as possible. You don't want to clamp it here then try and work it here, because you're just going to snap it. And very carefully, you're going to want to get the right size spanner on there and just slowly work it backwards and forwards until you work it loose and you can finally get it out, if you can get it out. And if all else fails, you'll be up for some new bearing carriers, which isn't the end of the world, because thanks to the aftermarket world, you can buy them and they're much tougher and better than these. So always good if you don't have to buy new stuff though. Now let's have a look at some of the differences between the old and the new. Straight away you'll see there's quite a few obvious things. One of them being that on the original it's hexagonal to accept a spanner or a socket, whereas the new one is just round. The top here we've got the original with a flat head. The newer one has a Phillips head or a star. On the earlier one, it's got this shank with a washer, whereas the later one, it's got this rectangular piece on there adapted to a washer, which I thought was quite neat. Should sit home quite nicely, I would think. Now on the early one, we've got the 7/16 nut, whereas on this one, I believe you will need a 10mm spanner. Another thing is, I believe, other than the bolt through the middle, everything is stainless steel. So that's a pretty cool upgrade. Another thing that might not be so obvious is this is a right-handed thread, whereas this is left-handed thread. Now, I'm only going on what I've read, but I believe that some of the later Rovers are right-hand thread as well. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But whereas the Scott Bonners, or everything I've worked on, has all got a left-handed thread in there. Now I believe the reason for that is, when you are doing your reel to bed knife adjustment, you will actually do this up clockwise to tighten the reel to the bed knife. Whereas on the newer one, you will be loosening it to tighten the reel to the bed knife. It doesn't matter at all. It's just you have to remember which way you're turning it. I'm sure I'll definitely get used to it, that's for sure. All right, now I had full intentions of cleaning these all up and making it look pretty, but as always, I'm running out of time. So we're just gonna slap it back together. I'm just gonna add a little bit of Never Sneeze on here. Can't see it doing any harm. These are a nice firm fit, I tell you. It's annoying. Trick for new players. This one apart. Trying to get that in the right spot this time. Put it in square, I dare say that would help. How firm they fit is quite satisfying actually. They fit really, really well. Not that I'm surprised. Now you don't want to tighten that up too far because we still want that to fit in there. I just put some Never Sees on them, sharpen the crap everywhere. On the back bits as well. So they, to a certain point, have to pivot on there. So good. Absolute work of art. Best part of the mower. Right, next we'll put the nuts on the back here. I'm going to use that extended nut because I don't mind that being a little bit easier to access past the height adjuster. So first you put your flat washer, then your star washer or your spring washer, followed by the nut. We do the same on the other side. Flat washer, star washer, and the nut. Next, we're gonna slide this reel back into place. Make sure your surfaces are clean. going to bring this height adjuster up. So when I tighten these bearing caps up, this isn't bottomed out like it is on the bed knife. So just bring that up now that we've got it in. Now I know that's not fouling anything, I'm confident to tighten these back up. They're fairly firm. All right, from here, I'm going to set the reel to the bed knife. Now, remember what I was saying before about when this was a left-hand thread? So to move the reel down, you would tighten it up. Whereas now that this is a right-handed thread, we will be undoing it to tighten it. So we'll be going anti-clockwise to move the reel towards the bed knife. Probably pays to bring them down together. Don't bring one all the way down, then bring the other. Just do a little bit on each. You can sort of see with how much is hanging out the bottom that they're even. So to move it away, we go clockwise. Makes you think. I like to have these fairly firm. Geordie from Scott Bonnar Renos does a really good video on adjusting your reel to bed knife. So definitely have a look at that. I'm gonna end up with petrol all over the show, I can already see it. All right, now we're just gonna wanna make little movements now. And this is gonna get me thinking because it's completely opposite to what I'm used to. Okay, so we're gonna go anti-clockwise, and I like to move the nut and the bolt together. Just give it, it's a bit much. Still a little bit more than I'd like. Have a look at this side. I like to tighten these up while I'm checking the reel, because I find that you have no contact with this loose, then you'll nip them up and all of a sudden it's contacting again. So again, no contact. So it sort of changes it a little bit. Nothing overly concerning. A little bit of contact, although it's spinning fairly freely, I think I can live with that. You don't want to make a mess of paper, don't cut all the way through. Let's put it all back together. Take our Woodruff key back in the shaft on the reel. Our sprocket back on. Lock the reel back up. Sure everything's still spinning freely. Right, first off we've got our reel drive. So we want to make sure we've got our joiner link pointing outwards and not inwards, otherwise we're going to have a hard time undoing that at some stage. And also make sure it's spinning in the right direction. So you want, if that is the direction of travel, you want the open end to be at the back. Same on any chain, on your motorbike, on your push bike. It's pretty common practice. So from here we want our 1/2 inch socket and our 1/2 inch spanner, and we're going to tighten this chain. Now these two nuts tighten this chain and the rear roller chain. So if we bring it backwards, we adjust this chain, then when we push this up, we tighten this chain here. It's probably easier if we just sort of hold it in place. Just nip it up a little bit, just so it holds it there. Little problem people have once they've adjusted their reel to bed knife is they have a problem with this clutch engaging and disengaging, amongst other problems. And the reason for that is, once you've tightened this reel up, you've then pulled this away, which is put more tension on this chain, and if it's too tight, it will then put tension on this, pulling this down, thus pulling this up, which is pushing it into the cork and not giving you the correct operation in here. If you can imagine that's getting pulled on, then this is coming up and it's pushing it into the cork. Not in a good way either. So always check your reel chain once you've done your reel to bed knife adjustments. While we're in here, might as well give everything a light lube. you like the video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers, legends.